So it's coming up to 2025, and some of you may be wondering whether you should be doing a pageant in the new year. And if you're watching this later and it's not coming up to 2025, maybe it's 2027 or 2028, then the question probably is still going to crop up for a lot of you. And it's a question not necessarily I get asked a lot as a pageant coach, but it's certainly a conversation behind the scenes that I've had with a lot of people that I've interviewed and work with, namely, should I even be doing a pageant? It's specifically coming not so much from newbies. I would say if you're a pageant newbie, like you've never done one before, go have fun. It'll be a new experience. And then you can come back and watch this video. So it's more a conversation that I've had with competitors who've done at least one pageant, maybe a couple more. Maybe they've even, I'm getting attacked by a mosquito here. Maybe they've even competed overseas representing their country, which obviously is a big honor. And so then you're wondering quite naturally, should I do another one? And so I wanted to give you three things I think that you should look at before deciding whether you should go into pageantry or do another pageant. And let me preface this by saying, if you don't know, and I'm sure you do, but just in case you need a reminder, pageants are expensive financially, obviously. It's not unusual for one of you to drop $10,000, and I'm talking about US dollars, by the way, because that's worth more than Australian dollars. It's probably about 15 or 16,000 Australian dollars. It's not unusual. I had a friend who did this in the South, and she wasn't well-to-do by any means. She wasn't rolling in money. Dropped $10,000 on a couture gown that was custom, not custom made for her, but custom, tailored and adjusted for her. Not only that, but pageants take up a lot of energy, a lot of emotion. They can be very emotionally draining depending on how much work you actually put into it and how the pageant goes itself. And you got to remember, time is the one thing that you don't get back. You can get pretty much anything else back. If you spend money, you can say, well, let me go and make more money back. Or let me find other ways of making money. But time, we only have 24. We all only have 24 hours in a day. It's like the only thing that we're all equal in. And so if you're putting time into pageantry, that's by necessity something that's taking away time that you could be putting into other things such as career, relationships, and life in general. I know you could argue that, hey, maybe when I'm working on myself for a pageant, that's kind of, working on me as well. And that's true to an extent, but it's still time intensive. And so I wanted to preface this by saying, just remember, pageants are a big expenditure, financially, emotionally, and on your time as well, time and money. That all being said, there are probably three reasons that I would say, okay, yep, go and do a pageant. Go do your pageant. And I say this as a pageant coach who I'm sure I'm the only, I'm sure I'm the pageant coach in the world who's told the most clients you shouldn't be doing a pageant. It's very, very unusual. Often I have this discussion one-on-one with my clients and we end up agreeing, hey, now's not the right time to do a pageant. Not to say you shouldn't do one ever again, but now's really not the right time. It's especially true when you've just done a big one and spent a hell of a lot of money. It's like, well, now let's take this year off to work on ourselves. But three things. Number one, fun. Like, if you want to do it, if you just want to do it, and you just want to have some fun, and maybe it's because it gives you an excuse to do something that's for yourself. I know I was speaking to Danielle Mullins about this the other day, and she was working with some MS and Mrs. clients, so slightly older. And very often for those people, especially if you've got children, you have no time for yourself. So a pageant can be a really good excuse to take some time out to spend on yourself, in which case, absolutely go for it. Who am I to say, no, you need to have all these other reasons. You need to know your pageant, why, you need to know blah, 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 blah. No, you don't. You really don't. I mean, you do need to know your why. It's like, well, I want to have fun. I want to spend time, I want to have some time for myself. I want to be selfish for once, especially as a mother. More power to you, I think. So yeah, if you just want to have fun, you just want to do it, go do it. What I will say is, don't come back afterwards and say, oh, I'm upset because I didn't win. I'm upset because blah, 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 blah. If you just wanted to do something just as a hobby or just to have fun, just go do it. Don't invest a lot in, oh, am I going to win or not? I mean, I'm sure it'd be nice. Some of you, frankly, may not even want to win. You literally just want to go and do it for fun. So if you want to go have fun, just take that mentality That's great. Go all the way from beginning to end. You just wanted to have fun. Don't get too invested in it emotionally. I'm saying obviously you try your best, but if things don't go your way, then you shouldn't get too upset. I'm about to be stung by a giant wasp. Oh my god. The hell that is. It sounds like a small plane, not a bug. What I'm saying is, if you say you just wanted to do it for fun, you don't really have the right afterwards to get upset when you don't win. Do you know what I mean? So if you just really want to have fun, just go and have fun. Number two, so three reasons. That was number one. Number two, the networking, the people that you meet. I think no matter what else happens in the pageant, maybe, the director's not quite on board. Oh my God. The system doesn't quite deliver what it was supposed to deliver. This is how you know it's real, by the way. If this had been staged in a professional studio, I wouldn't not be getting attacked by a light aeroplane right now. God, I don't know what that is. Um, so the network, the women, and I guess sometimes men as well that you will meet, but largely the young women who will also, similarly to yourself, be wanting to give back and contribute to the world in a way that's involving more than just themselves. And you can see this in them working for charity. You can see them, giving their time. You can see them owning small businesses. And I'm not saying you're going to get along great with everyone, but you would never say that no matter what industry you went into, right? But in pageantry, I've remarked again and again that it's very odd to me, or very peculiar to me, or very cool to me, I should say, that pageantry seems to attract a certain, oh my God, a certain type of young woman, which is a woman who's hungry, hardworking, driven, probably creative, probably quite entrepreneurial. And so if you're like that, it can be quite hard to meet other women like that, depending on which area you work in. Maybe you come from a really small town and there's simply there aren't that many people around you. And so doing a pageant can be a really cool way of making a big network of like-minded women around the world or around your state or around the city, depending on, what scale or what level of pageant you're doing. And by the way, bigger is not necessarily better because I have friends all around the world, but obviously it's very difficult to see them all the time because they're in other countries. So sometimes doing a local pageant can help you become more ingrained in your local community, which could honestly be more practical and more useful. So that's number 2 or 3, the network. Number 3 or 3, the final one. Pageantry very often gives you an excuse to work on yourself. Now, I did say before, with number 1, just go have fun, just have time to focus on yourself. That's more from a fun aspect. It's like getting dolled up, having the mani-pedi. That's just like, that's cool, that's fun. That's not life-changing, although I would argue that if you're a mum and putting yourself in a good mood and refilling your cup, so to speak, is actually really life-changing for your kids and for your husband, I'm sure. But when I say pageant's giving you a time, an incentive to work on yourself, think of it as getting into shape. It's probably the biggest one, or your interview skills, either one. So I know a lot of young women who will hit the gym, clean up their diet. I'm not saying starve yourself, by the way. I'm not a proponent of that. Never have been, never will be. But giving yourself a reason to hit the gym or to go for a walk or to take up a sport, to clean up your diet, all which are good things, right? We should be doing that. But sometimes, when you don't have that extra incentive of a pageant, and regardless of whether you're competing in a bikini or not, just to fit into a certain gown or to get up on stage knowing that you're looking your best, you're feeling your best, having the pageant can simply give you an incentive to get to the gym at 5 or 6 in the morning when normally, or let's say if you didn't have the pageant, you wouldn't do that. Same with interview. A lot of you may not have a chance to practice interview on a regular basis, your public speaking on a regular basis. And I really think of interview as it's almost learning how to sell yourself. And learning how to sell, learning sales is important to any industry. Even if, again, just as a parent, just in inverted commas, you got to be able to sell, to little Timmy or little John or little Sarah, whatever, hey, you got to do your homework, buddy, before you go and play those games. You're going to have to learn how to influence your children, influence and sell ideas to your children. So I think, and this is a very underrated, I'm not going to say it's underrated, but it's not brought up very often because I think a lot of people gloss over it. It's not just the fact that you get into shape or that you work on your interview. It's the fact that the pageant gives you the incentive to do that, because you absolutely could just hit the gym or go to like a Toastmasters if that's still around and work on your public skills, or you could just get a sales job if you wanted to work on your sales ability. entering a pageant gives you sort of this incentive that stems to a lot of areas of your life to improve and to work on. So, your physical health, your interview skills, your ability to public speak, your communication skills. It may also, depending on the system involved, we're talking about, give you a big incentive to give back to your community, to work with charities, to volunteer your time. It may, frankly, give you an incentive to work on your content creation, your video creation, your social media. And I know a lot of pageant girls, and you might be one of them, who have transitioned into a successful UGC career, user generated content. And so, I mean, I've done that myself. And I work with Amazon, and I'm not going to say it's perfect. There have been quite a few headaches, but I never would have been able. That opportunity I never would have been able to get if it hadn't been for all the content creation I did as an interviewer, interviewing hundreds of pageant girls from around the world over the last 8, 9, 10 years. And so what I want you to think of, and I spent the most time on this point, so remember, number 1 out of 3. Number 1 was just fun. Just go do it. That's fine. Number 2, networking. I think that's pretty obvious. Number 3, though, this incentive that pageants give you to work on yourself. I do think that's the most important. Is it the most? I do think it's the one that runs the deepest, and probably the one that's going to connect, and the one that most of you watching this should be considering, is just remember, yes, it can cost a lot of money. Yes, it can involve a lot of time. But if you don't do the pageant, will you be working on those skills in the background? And maybe you don't need to work on those skills. I mean, I would say you always want to be in shape, right? You always want to, you're either getting more in shape or you're getting more out of shape. And I know which one I'd rather go to. I say this having just gone for my morning walk and lifted a kettlebell. And yes, you can absolutely do those things without the pageant, but entering the pageant gives you the incentive to do it on an ongoing basis. So if you're someone who hits a gym every day, if you're working and or you're happy with the level of your skill set right now, in terms of what what skill sets pageantry helps you work on, then I guess that's fine. Then this third reason won't apply to you. But I know for a lot of young women in particular thinking about interview, I know a lot of them have said they wouldn't have been able to interview at all if it hadn't been for pageants. So just think of that. It's like any other skill. You're either improving at it or it's getting worse. I know this, like handwriting, for example, because of AI and all this voice stuff. I can't write anymore. Like I write for 5 minutes. Remember in school, you'd write an essay, you'd be fine. 1,000-word, 2,000-word essay. Now, if I write 5 minutes, I get these hand cramps. And so interview skills is a great example because if you don't use it, you lose it. And so your interview skills, if you haven't interviewed for a while, they'll begin to get rusty. I've worked with a big title holder in the Miss America and Miss USA system who felt that very same thing. Like during COVID, she hadn't had a chance to work on her interview skills because everyone was indoors. There were no pageants, at least, Miss USA and Miss America sort of scale, ones that she could attend anyway. And so she felt that her interview skills had gotten rusty. And so if you need an excuse to work on your fitness, your interview skills, you want to give back to your community, entering a pageant is a really neat way of encapsulating all of that into one. Obviously, you have to join the right system that encapsulates all those. But otherwise, it's like, oh, I need to find the gym. Oh, I need to find a trainer. Oh, I need to find some way to do sales technique or interview. Oh, I need to find a local, service-based organization or a charity to work with. And you absolutely can do that. But I think entering a pageant just makes it so much easier because you have the get up and go. And no, you don't need it all the time. But I think it's a very neat way of encapsulating because I'm a big fan of just breaking down things and making them simpler. So you could make, 2025, oh, I need to do these 10 things. Or in 2025, you could enter a pageant and maybe that pageant will give you the incentive to go do those 10 things. And you won't even need to worry about those 10 things because you'll have it done. You'll know you have it done because you entered a pageant and you don't want to look like a fool on the stage, or you don't want to get up on stage and feel like you didn't give it your all. So that's my take. Those are the 3 things. Number 1, like why should I enter a pageant in 2025? Number 1, you just want to do it for fun, go do it. Number 2, you want to network, meet like-minded young women from around the world or in your community, whatever it is, go do it. Great. And number 3, really giving you that incentive to work on all these other important areas of your life that will transition beyond pageantry. I think that's the key. It's not just going to be useful in pageantry, it's going to be useful for your life outside of pageantry. I mean, your body, for example, like working your fitness. Maybe you're not always in bikini shape, fine, but being in shape is kind of important if you want to live a long and fruitful life. You will notice, I will say, I gave no conversation to, well, am I going to win or not? Because I don't think that should be part of it. Um, if you're looking for a reason to enter a pageant, I don't think winning in the current climate where it's so unpredictable with judging and, directors and systems are changing all the time, I think you should only be looking at winning. And I say this as a very competitive person. If I'm going in it, I'm going in to win it. But I don't think that should be a consideration as to whether you do it in the first place, because that leads to a very dark and dangerous path. And even people who win, it can end up very badly. It's like a poison crown or a poison chalice, because you might think that crown is the answer to all your woes, and then I can tell you point blank from like talking to people who've won big international crowns, no, it's really not worth it. And I got to say, after this year, it's been pretty disappointing to see some people that I know win very big crowns and then it instantly change them overnight to where they just think they're, I can't say the word on YouTube, but let's just say they think a lot more highly of themselves now, and they think they have this air of entitlement, and I think that's terrible. I think that's a real shame. Like, honestly, I would go up to these people and say, I liked you better before. Now you just think you're, all sorts of special and wonderful because you have something on your head. And so I don't think the winning conversation, like, should I enter a pageant? Well, am I going to win it? I don't think that should be a conversation that enters your mind. Don't get me wrong. I would encourage you, if you're going in it, to give it your best. Obviously, I don't think there's any point, even if you're going for fun, go have fun. Don't go in to have fun and then, half-ass it. Go in, have lots of fun. Be outrageous, be playful, make fun of the people who are taking it seriously, but go have fun. Whichever reason you go into it for, I would say fully enjoy it, fully indulge in it. But the winning conversation, no, gravy. Like, icing on the cake. Especially if you go in it for fun. Wouldn't that be cool for your psyche, like for your beliefs moving forward? Like, I just went in this to have fun, be myself, meet amazing people. Oh, and I won. Versus that time when you went in it super seriously, you were all uptight and you were doing this every day, that every day. You had your vision board, you had your 10-point plan, you had your 5-year plan, and you came last. Well, not last, but you didn't win. And then sometimes I know people who've just entered to have fun and then they won. So that can happen as well. But those are the 3 points I want you to consider. If you're thinking about, if you were to be, having a one-on-one conversation with myself as a client, and you said, Adrian, I'm wondering whether I should do a pageant in 2025, those are the 3 things that I would be considering in general. Obviously, everyone is slightly different, but I think those three reasons or those 3 motivations moving forwards, they probably can apply to everyone.